Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Link.
And I'm Rhett. This week at the Round Table of Dim Lighting, we're going to be talking, amongst other things, about career shifts. If maybe you might relate to someone who is at a point in their career where they feel like they need a shift.
Are you looking for a change?
We're going to give some perspective on that. And
or
talk about some other things.
If you're here just for dumb small talk, we'll give
we got plenty of that. And I will say, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. We really enjoy hearing from you. We really enjoy your voicemails. Here's the thing. I know that some people, because y'all have said, it's like, well, I don't like hearing the sound of my own voice. Trust me, as two guys who've been hearing the sound of their own voice for 20 years and never really liking it, to be honest with you, we can completely relate to that.
You don't like your voice?
You know how it is when you hear a recording of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always like, I wish it was a little different.
Huh.
And I mean, I've gotten so used to hearing it at this point that it's less pronounced as it was, 20 years ago. But I'm just trying to relate, Link. Let me relate.
Yeah.
And I know that some of you get nervous when you hear that beep, and then, oh crap, whatever I say is going to end up on the internet. Listen. If you make yourself look stupid, we won't put it on the show. Okay?
You can always call back.
Yeah, you can always just say, "Hey, scratch that last one. I've reworded it. You want to write it down." What I'm getting at is that we like to hear from you, and it's better than you typing in something on Twitter, because then we have to read it. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your questions. We want to hear your comments. We're trying to, if you haven't noticed, make that a bigger part of the show, because we think it's a great jumping off point for all kinds of conversations and stories that we can tell.
Mm-hmm.
So we're asking.
Would you do that? Well, you just call the phone number, 1-888
Earpod 1.
That's the number one.
Now, Jamie, help me understand something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm wrong,
Yes.
because I see some people say that if they are not from the United States of America, that they can't call this number. Is that true?
I believe so. I don't really know, because it's like if you dial the 1 and then the 888, that's the area code of the country.
Yeah.
That should work.
Is it because it just costs them money? Is that the thing? Is that now they're having to pay
Yeah,
to
if
call?
there's roaming or whatever, or
Okay.
international charges.
So here's what I'm going to promise
Uh-oh.
that Jamie is going to look into.
Yes, I will research.
I am promising that Jamie will look into us coming up with a solution.
You're promising a process. You're not promising
I'm
results.
not a solution, yeah. We are going to investigate the reality of what it would look like to allow anyone to call toll-free. And if that means some sort of submission that's over the internet that's not calling a number, whatever we end up coming up with. Because if we're going to make this a bigger part of the show, and you don't live in the United States,
Cool.
well, we want to open it up to everybody. This is a global show. This goes across the entire spherical flat disk of the Earth. The entire show is broadcast over the big, completely flat, circular, firmament-enclosed, sitting on the back of a turtle, Earth, that we're all on right now, and we would like you all to be a part of it wherever you're at on the disk.
I think if they use WhatsApp, it should be fine.
Okay.
They can just dial the number through WhatsApp. I'm pretty sure you can call any country.
You know what we're going to do?
Try that.
I'm going to make a second promise. Jamie is going to contact one of her many international acquaintances or friends and get them to test this theory.
Well, that is
And if it
cool.
doesn't
Do you have
work-
international friends?
Well, I have an old roommate that went back to England I'd rather not speak to, but for the purposes of this.
Hold on. Jenna, you got lots of international friends.
I do have international friends. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jamie just got kicked to the curb.
When-
No, it's all good.
when Jenna comes back from a
Who knows
trip,
other
she's
friends
got
in other lands?
many different new friends
I
of all
do.
stripes.
Yeah.
And so
There you go.
she's going to be contacting all of them and getting them. In fact, all of the international voicemails from here on out on Your Biscuits will be Jenna acquaintances and friends. So it might get a little narrow in the perspective, but
Hey, what?
I'm just saying. I mean, just relatively speaking, Okay, I'm
I
done.
just saw the narrow people.
I'm done. You got any questions for me?
Well, I want you to talk about your sweatshirt.
Oh, my sweatshirt.
Now,
Can you see on the camera how beautiful it is?
So just to paint a picture for audio only.
Yes.
You have a white sweatshirt. It's actually the North Face embroidered, logoed, off-white, completely white sweatshirt.
Purchased at a necessary time when I was getting ready to go to the NC State versus Carolina football game and realized it was going to get down to 37 degrees while I was in the stands. And I was like, my jacket is not strong enough. I need another layer, and purchased this at a Dick's Sporting Goods.
Okay, but it's you know, a baggy white sweatshirt is
It's kind of an in right now.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Of course, it has purple splotches.
Oh,
all
what are you
over it
talking
now.
about?
Yeah.
Now, you say now?
Well, I'm saying I'm looking at it, and I've seen it before, and it didn't have that.
Okay.
And then I saw it. I was there for this
Yep,
story,
yep, yep.
so I'm just kind of teeing you up to tell the story of why your white sweatshirt
It's now fashionable and cool?
has
Like more fashionable and
wine
cooler than it
stains
was?
all over it, like
Okay, well, let me
a
tell the story.
wine,
It also,
like a sommelier,
it also
like vomited on you.
It smells like wine
gosh.
and a campfire.
It does smell like wine.
And I will now unfold why. I was at a gathering of people, DJ'd by Elkhound Snuggle Baby.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
Um,
A gathering that kind of undersells it.
Okay, what do you think it was?
Well, I'd like for you to come up with. Come on now.
A kickback is what one person called
Okay,
it.
hey, that's better.
And it was quite a kickback. Many great smooth tunes were played.
That's right.
Amongst friends, some of our
It's a
closest
record
friends.
spinning party.
Record
spinning party.
Kickback.
Kickback. You know, it wasn't a dance party. It was a
No.
listen and mingle.
Yeah. And at some point, someone proposed the idea that we drink alcohol.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah, and we were like, well, what do we got here? And we were at the Creative House. I'll say that because that helps too.
Yeah. What? Because that's where my vinyl
That's where your
setup
stuff
is.
And we have somewhat of a stocked. I mean, there's like snacks there, and there is like some various whiskeys and stuff. We don't really drink that much.
Yeah,
But people do, and
there's
so
like
you wanna,
leftover beers from when people have come over and brought their own beer.
Yeah.
So like there's like a disparate assemblage of beers in the fridge.
But one of our friends was like, I would love some wine, and I was like, I don't know if we've got wine.
I don't think we have wine.
But we should have wine. Like we should have wine. You should always have a bottle of red, a bottle of white. You should have it just for social
Didn't think
purposes.
we did.
But I'm like, oh, we do have wine. And so I went back. I was like, we got wine, and I was like, we don't have a bottle opener. I'm not going to give the exact details of how I got this particular bottle opener that I got because
Okay.
I'll explain to you later why that's the case. But let's just say over the course of about 20 to 30 minutes, 20 minutes, I commandeered a bottle opener
Yes.
from another friend.
A wine decorker.
And it was one that this particular friend was willing to part with because he said, quote, I don't like the way this one works.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give this one to you and you can have it at the Creative House.
Okay.
I was like, great. Go back in and begin doing the deed. And when I say that, I mean opening the wine. And boom, it was one of those you screw in and then it's got the two things that you pull down and it push down and it pulls the thing up with leverage. And as often the case with these, apparently, the cork broke in the middle.
You pulled out the top half of the cork.
Because you don't have as much, as my friend was explaining, you don't have as much control over the simpler ones where you can like adjust your position and stuff.
Right.
And this is sort of like, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
And it was too much tension on the cork, broke it in half. So I was like, well, damn it.
Because that other half is
Stuck.
at the same place it's always been.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, what I'm gonna do, because I've encountered this situation before.
I walked away at this point, I think.
I'm glad.
I was kind of, I saw you opening it, and I saw the first half come out, and I just walked away. I couldn't be there for it. You know, yeah, you got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when to walk away. That's when I walk away.
You abandoned me. But as you will learn, that was a smart move. So I took the butt end of a butter knife and started that.
Creating some
boom,
upward and downward motion. You were
pushing it down.
You were
because what else can you do?
You were jabbing it, and you were going to force the cork.
You force it down, and then you just pour around it and pour around it. It's not that big of a deal. The cork has been in. This is the bottom half of the cork. It's not like putting the top half of the cork in the wine.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is like bottle.
It hasn't been exposed to anything except wine.
Except wine. So
you were going to make a little float.
And I didn't want to do that thing when you start trying to pick out the cork, because then it becomes a bunch of little pieces and then you have to strain it. I wanted to push one whole cork down and then pour around. And of course, the wine underneath the cork is, it's got nowhere to go. It's pressurized.
And the air as well.
And as I pushed it down, it released, but also the force of the wine came up and fountained out into the kitchen and onto yours truly and onto this sweatshirt.
It's hard to imagine that it fountained out enough to put as much as is on your shirt, but
okay.
I just...
Put a pin in that.
What was there... You're saying it just splooshed out big time. So it wasn't just the splash of the
No, it wasn't a splash, it was pressure.
Hitting the wine, it was
pushing down pressure and then releasing
more pressure
around, and you didn't see it because I cleaned it up. So it went up, it went all over the cabinets, it went all over the fridge, it went all over the counter, and it went on me. Now, somehow, miraculously, it only hit my sweatshirt. And I will say the first thing I did is I cleaned up the stuff on the cabinets because I was like, I don't want this red wine to dry.
Do you remember what music I was playing at the time? Was it appropriate for this?
I gotta say, I lost track.
Oh yeah,
I lost track.
Okay, all right.
But that would have been a little too much to expect from you to like be, soundtracking that.
Well, the bar's high. I'm capable of so much.
So, yes, Link, this is not nearly as much wine. Well, no, this is way more wine than actually spilled on me.
Well, you came out to where we were outside and you brought wine to the person whose idea it was to drink wine.
And I said...
She seemed pretty happy.
I said, I hope this is the best glass of wine you've ever had. As I showed my shirt, which had basically, I would say, between 15 and 20 small dollops of red wine on it. And then I was like, does it come out of a white sweatshirt? And they were like, you're gonna have a tough time getting rid of that. I was like, well, it's kind of cool. I'll just go all the way.
It seemed like it could be cool. I was like, yeah, it could be cool. I mean, there's just not enough of it to seem intentional.
And I own a couple of shirts that have an approach where somebody just took paint and just threw it on a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And I bought them for like large sums of money because somebody figured it was a good idea.
Right.
So I took it out there, I hung it up, and I took a spoon, I dipped it in wine, and it was dark. And I just sort of flipped the spoon at the shirt, and then I brought it back over to the group. I displayed it, and they were like, that looks great. Your wife, Christy, said, dip the cuffs.
Yeah.
And so I took the cuffs, and I dipped the cuffs in wine.
Yep.
And
that right there was the stroke of genius.
And I feel like at this point,
I usually only want her to stroke my genius.
Oh God.
But that right there is what tells me this is an intentional artistic move, not just a sommelier gone wrong.
And I could do this for any sweatshirts. If you have a white sweatshirt, I mean.
Turn around, because you did the back too.
Yeah, I did.
I love this because I get to see the back of your shirt and you can't talk into a mic anymore. It's great.
Well, tell me about it.
So, I did not know, now that you told me that you've used like a a spoon. You like spooned it on there. You like dolloped it out.
No. I took a spoon and threw it.
Yeah,
at it.
you dolloped it.
I didn't pour it. I
I can tell because there's impact points and then there's tails in a couple of places.
Yeah.
That's nice, man. You
I could do it a couple of
instinctively
different
went with
ways.
a very good technique right from the beginning because
I really think a paintbrush dipped and flung.
that would be a different thing. I think you really
Version
got it.
2.
Spoon dollop.
Well, this is the question I have for you now because as I looked at this last night with Jesse as it was still wet with wine and drying.
Is it dry, right? Yes.
Yeah, it's dry. I was like, if you were, if you saw somebody wearing this, would you think that they had been in maybe an accident? But then I think you would look and you would be like, no, it's purple. Oh, that must be intentional. Maybe it's not your taste, whatever. But you would assume that it was one of those
Yeah.
artsy things.
Yeah, you've pulled it off.
But I feel like I'm tempted to give this sweatshirt a series of lives. I started with wine. I think I might move to a different substance for my next
I think it
phase of this.
has to be.
And I might own it for many, many years
this
and
is
then
a good
pass
i-
it to the next generation.
This is a good idea, but I would encourage you to keep it honest. Like
Only when it gets stained?
wear it to your next thing. Like wear it out to a hot dog.
I don't stain myself
Thing.
very often. I mean, that was an unusual event last night.
Well, maybe you're eating a hot dog. You get a little mustard on there, and then you're like, break out the mustard dollop spoon, and then you've got a story to tell. Yeah, this is when the wine happened. This is when the mustard happened.
That would be wonderful if I could pull that off. But I'm afraid I think I'm going to start being messy on purpose, and I don't want that. I'd rather be Ronaldo.
I didn't get that reference.
Yeah.
Is he a- I
like
get it.
70%
Oh,
of
yeah.
the world did. But
I
it's cool.
understand now.
The global audience got that.
Hold on, I do get it. Football,
Yes, football.
international
Yes.
football.
So I'm pretty proud of it.
Just enjoy that for a while. Don't. I mean, because mustard wouldn't be the next move.
I don't think mustard would look right. I think mustard's going to dry weird.
I wonder if there was a different type of wine, like maybe a Merlot, maybe a Malbec.
You want me to do different wines?
And then I wonder, it'll be a different shade.
Oh, very close though.
Very close,
I think
but
we might
subtly
get
different.
lost. It's just a wine shirt.
Well, what else would you do?
If I did it intentionally, I
Soy
would start
sauce?
doing like puff paint.
Oh no.
Can't do soy sauce. That stuff stinks, man.
Well, then what? What would be next?
I got to look at staining liquids.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like, what leaves a good stain? Blood?
I don't want blood. It's already too close to blood as it is.
Well, you don't. I'm talking you out of mustard because mustard is messy. It just implies slob. Barbecue sauce. I think any type of. Like, I think you need to go with another type of beverage. Like, what's a good beverage?
Sunkist?
Sunkist.
I just think it would. It's
I
got to
think
be
Kool-Aid is
something-
pretty
It's got to be
stainy.
something that really isn't going to get lost in the mix.
Baja Blast.
Baja Blast.
It's blue.
That's stainy.
Okay.
I don't know, but it's blue and it would go with
blue
the.
would be nice.
We
Yeah.
stock it. And I also think you could go with bleach, just some bleach dots, and then that would, because this is an off-white, and then you've got like this like pristine white thing happening
That
too.
feels like maybe like another whole. I think maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as my personal canvas, and then I'm going to basically take what I learn in splattering sweatshirts, and then I'm just going to start selling my own pieces, and I'm going to get.
No, you're not.
I'm going to get
Yes,
like $5 Amazon
Mm-hmm.
sweatshirts, right? I want the margins to be through the roof. And I'm going to stain them. I'm going to put them all up around me in a room, and I'm just going to Jackson Pollock that shit with all kinds of things.
I think
And then I'm going to sell them for $500.
I think it should be a lifestyle of slob. I think you should wear it and just go ham on whatever it is you're eating. Could be ham. You know, you get a little sugar glaze all over you. And so then it's
I don't know.
Rhett worn slobware.
I feel like I don't think you're taking this seriously, and I also think you're giving me bad ideas.
I'm actually making it more authentic and honest and more valuable. Rhett wore this and spilled something on himself, turned it into a piece.
I gotta
and now
start-
you can own it.
I got to start being messier, and I got to start hanging out with messier people. in messier places. And I got to start telling people this
Are we
according
breaking
to your
up?
plan.
Is that what's happening?
And then I got to like make sure that I've got the right substances. I'm like, don't bring anything that doesn't stain to the party. What kind of idiot says that?
It would be fun to have you at a party and just to spill things on you.
Yeah,
Like,
but I don't want it on my pants.
You would be like the hired entertainment. Now this big guy's gonna show up in like all white or off-white clothing, and you just get to spill your shit on him. And then he's gonna leave, and he's gonna come back and try to sell it to you.
It would be kind of interesting if I put on a full white sweatsuit, again, from Amazon. We're talking no more than $11 total for the entire outfit. Maybe some imitation white Vans, and probably a white headband.
Whitehead band.
A white headband.
Oh.
And people make a little buffet for me of crazy staining things, and it's like then we all eat, and then I am the evidence of the things that were eaten and the things that were drunk, and then that whole suit is like the name of the suit on my fashion website is just the date, and the name of the event.
Can we insult you while we're spilling stuff all over you?
I mean,
I
don't
that.
want to be
That is being part of it.
I don't want to be like the object of everyone's, frustration. That's too much to take on personally.
We could like give you hollow compliments.
I think there should be no speaking while it's happening.
That's a little cultish.
I do invite you to DJ the party. So, if you want to manipulate and control the entire crowd with your music, and incite them to violence. Well, not violence, but to this messiness, and I'm open to that.
I'm excited for you. Can I take a few moments to just pick your brain a little bit about the party?
Oh, okay. I was about to move on.
Because I am curious about some things. I'm looking. I suggested that we have a record spinning party to have our friends get together because our friends needed to get together. Had some people from out of town who we don't see that often. And I'm just looking for opportunity to spin these records and to like practice being more of DJ, which also kind of made me the host of this thing. But I limited myself to just the vinyl until we got off of like Kendrick Drake beef and we like revisited all those in chronological order. I had to do that for my phone. That was pretty fun. Mm-hmm. But like, so for like, it might have been 3 hours for leading up to that. I like stuck to just playing records, which is fun for me and like a challenge to work within what I've got to curate a vibe for people who are like we said, not dancing, just hanging out and kind of catching up. So like there's this art to like, what do you play for this type of get together and what volume? And I like to overthink these type of things because there's like a science to it.
I think that at least with this particular crowd, I think that the value in what you're bringing to the table is mostly encompassed by the role that it plays as background music.
Right. We all know each other really well, and we are catching up. And usually when we hang out, it's just background music, and we're just talking and catching up and having a good time.
In other words, I don't really know. Like, I've been to listening parties before, but it was always like, hey, I want to play some of my new music from like an artist friend or something like that. Like,
right.
I'm playing my album for you guys, and you're sitting down and you're all listening to it together. That's listening party to me, right? Because we're there to listen to this particular thing.
Right.
Listening party, that's friends getting together who, what those friends want to do is they want to talk, they want to reconnect. And so I think that the music in that context serves as an additional layer of social lubrication for people to connect and converse. And so that indicates what the volume should be, which I think, I mean, there was a couple of times where it was like, people told me, tell them to turn it down a little bit. So then I would say, to get you to turn it down.
Right. Because the music was a little louder than what you'd normally expect for a hangout. But then I was like, oh, everybody's, when people are talking more. It wasn't like I was standing back there the whole time, but I would turn the volume down. But then if somebody showed up, and then all of a sudden the energy goes up, And everybody's like, I'm happy to see you, and I'm talking at this volume. You got to bring the volume of the music up a little bit. It's like now we've gotten like a new energy. I'm bolstering this energy.
Right.
But then you got to bring it back down. Then you got to change gears. And then nobody, it should be the type of thing that no one should think about.
I think that
unless you're actually listening to something.
My take on it is that everyone else's experience of it should be, and except for when we were like, let's listen to these diss tracks or whatever, and we were kind of focusing on that.
Yeah.
Is like, what is complementing the vibe and the conversational mood or whatever, and that's the value in it. And then, but because it's more of a tactile experience and a manual thing that you're doing with records, it's a cool aesthetic and a cool vibe for anybody who happens to like look over there and think, oh, this isn't just Spotify, this is a man playing records, which is cool, adds to the ambiance. But I think that mostly it's for your personal enjoyment, which is all that it needs to be for.
I think we had just enough people that it worked. Any less people, and it would have been a little awkward. And it could have it would be more appropriate with a few more people. Then it becomes more of a party than a kickback where everybody's sitting down and just talking. These are the dynamics I'm thinking about. How many people allows for what level of DJing?
And then what would happen? What would be different?
If a few more people were there, it would be more of like a mix and mingle party. It wouldn't be like everybody can be in one group around like a campfire and talk.
Right.
I think that's the dynamic too.
And there's the
difference between a kickback and a party.
Part of it is also like if you're doing like I'm going to be playing records the whole time, then you can't stay in a conversation for too long.
Right. That's the other part of it.
So, yeah. If that's your choice, if that's what you want to do. But that's part of it.
That is another factor, yeah. Am I at the party or am I like playing music? Yeah. Okay.
I had a very good time.
That's what I wanted to know.
I had a very good time. But I could also, like when observing you, I could tell he's really thinking a lot about this, which is great. And we are experiencing the benefit of it.
Right. To me, it was developing a skill that then I can apply to other things. And I wanted to do that amongst friends. So that's why I was like, I said this is the type of party it was going to be. It's kind of like me learning all of this stuff too and giving more attention to that than if it was just a normal get-together that we normally throw. That was the difference. So yeah, I wasn't quite as engaged socially for that reason. But I'm seeing like what other type of events can I curate, and do I have the skill to kind of know what to play and how to play it.
But you don't want to do a party.
No, I would do a party.
A party that you get invited to do it, that you don't know the people?
I would do that. But some of this practice informs that. So like,
which is different than a dance party.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
But then there was like Ward's birthday party, which was very much like,
that's what he wanted, a dance party. Yeah.
Which in that case, it's like we're more traditional DJ at that point. Like you're basically back there the whole time. Maybe you come out a little bit, but like that's a different thing. That's like people asking for songs and
Yeah.
That's like DJing a dance party.
Right.
And which one do you want to do the most?
I think the DJ, the non-dance party. Or maybe there's a little bit of dancing. It's like on the fringe of a dance party. Yeah, somewhere in between the dance party and the kickback is like this like sweet spot.
Because the the rub becomes if it's a certain group of people and they're like, I'm going to a party and I'm connecting with people, and we have friends who, like last night, we got friends from out of town who are bringing people that they know. Some of our friends are like people who are like, oh, this person should meet this person because of the work that they do, and so we kind of like curated those kinds of connections, which is very cool. And so like talking to somebody about their work or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it was a perfect vibe for that. But if you try to make it where you're like, hey, you can't get to a place where you're trying to draw attention to get everyone to draw attention to the music in the way that your attention is on the music, which you didn't do that. But I'm saying it's just like, tonight I will be playing now I'm moving into this. Like obviously that it's like a vibe thing. It's very much a different thing other than
right.
Because I can imagine there being an actual listening party where it's like, tonight we're going to be listening to this genre and then we're going to talk about it. And there are some people who would want to do that. And I might even want to do that if that was why I was gathering. But if people aren't told explicitly,
right,
this is about the music, like if it's about the people, then the music complements the interactions, which is what last night was. Then when it becomes about the music, the people have to, that's a different thing. And that group last night, like our core group of friends they wouldn't want to do that.
Right.
They would bristle at the idea that it has to be about this music.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think I can assemble a group that would understand that this is more about the music.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in doing that too, throwing that type of party.
And that'll be a different set.
Turns out there's a lot of different, very specific types of parties that you can throw.
That's right.
And as a DJ, you got to know what kind of party you're at.
Including one where your friend wears all white Amazon sweats and
there you go.
Eats like a pig.
Okay.
And stains himself.
Yeah.
And maybe I soil myself. I don't know. Stain the insides.
Nope. I don't mean to just say, what about my shirt? But we should say something about, what about my shirt? Well, Link, Caring is cool. That's a good shirt.
Link, that's actually part of our Always Proud collection, which we're always expanding the Always Proud collection. We've now got a cropped tee because people are doing that now.
Oh, really?
We got a tank top because those are coming back. And we got a rubber keychain. Very safe.
Okay.
And again, as is always the case, or as is the case this year, we always do something like this, but this year a portion of the proceeds are benefiting our friends over at Outright International and the work that they do. And you just go to mythical.com if you want to purchase any of that stuff.
Ear Biscuits is supported by Etsy.
We're here to tell you that there's no reason to panic the next time you're searching for the perfect gift. Now you can use gift mode on Etsy.
Gift mode on Etsy takes the stress out of gifting so you can find the perfect item for anyone and any occasion.
It's easy. Just tap or click gift mode on your Etsy app or at Etsy.com.
Then you answer a few short questions about who you're shopping for and what they like, and gift mode instantly gives you curated gift ideas based on hundreds of personas.
So for instance, one persona is the golfer.
Okay.
Now, while my dad might he doesn't call himself a golfer because he says you don't golf, you play golf. He is a person who plays golf, which in this context is still the golfer
Don't
persona.
tell him how you search for it, just get him a gift.
And what this does though, is it will bring up gifts that are relevant to my dad, the golfer.
Okay. Now it's simple to find gifts made by independent sellers for all the people in your life. So whether you need a housewarming gift for the new homeowner or a birthday present for the pickleballer, Gift Mode has you covered.
Need to find the perfect gift? Don't panic. Try Gift Mode on Etsy now. Ear Biscuits is supported by Rosetta Stone.
You know, Lando is planting seeds for a big trip he wants to take.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to go to Japan.
Uh-oh.
And he's already learning some Japanese.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean for you?
Means I need to learn it too, I think.
That's right. In comes Rosetta Stone, the most trusted language learning program available on desktop or as an app that truly immerses you in the language you want to learn.
They've used trusted experts for 30 years with millions of users and 25 languages offered, some of which include Spanish, French, Italian, Chinese, Japanese, Arabic, and Polish.
Rosetta Stone immerses you in many ways. It has an intuitive process to pick up language naturally, first with words, then phrases, then sentences.
The best part is probably their built-in true accent feature, which gives you feedback on your pronunciation so you learn to speak like a pro.
It's truly an amazing value. A lifetime membership has all 25 languages for all language needs you might have in your life. That's lifetime access to all 25 language courses Rosetta Stone offers for 50% off. That's a steal.
Don't put off learning that language. There's no better time than right now to get started. For a very limited time, you can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off.
Visit rosettastone.com/ear. That's 50% off unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/ear today. You wanna hear a voicemail?
Yeah.
Okay, I need you guys to settle a debate for my boyfriend and me. If you had to replace exactly one half of your body with robotic parts, what would it be? Left or right, top or bottom, front or back? My boyfriend and his cousin insist there is a correct answer, which I disagree with. Let me know what you guys think.
Good question. I have an immediate answer, like the thing that like jumps out at me as this has to be the right answer. It's so obvious.
Okay.
And it's not the top half. Well, does that include your head? It's like,
well, that's why my answer is it's
not the bottom half.
It is a lateral split. It is the right side or the left side.
It's one whole side of your body, because then you've got the other side that you have the best of both worlds.
You have the benefit of you have a robotic part and a natural part to every single part of your body. And then I actually thought about this recently.
Well,
it's
some things
interesting
you only have
the
one
symmetrical nature of the human body, in that there are two of everything, and then the things that line up on the center, there's one of those: your nose, your mouth, your goozle,
your sternum, your belly button,
your penis,
your wiener. So is the wiener robotic?
Half of it is.
I don't. Actually, now I'm second guessing. I don't want the right side of my wiener to be robotic.
Well, how about the left?
Or that. I don't want one side to be because how does it
I like the
change?
idea of this. I'm sure they can figure out. If they can figure out how to put half a man onto a robot, they can figure out how the dick works. And I think this could be an incredible innovation. Now, I don't mean to get graphic here, Link.
Can I dress to the side, like the tailors talk about?
Dress to the side?
When a tailor asks you what side do you dress on, you know what that means?
Oh.
That means which leg your wiener hangs down.
Okay. And so what you're saying is that you want to
Because the tailor's about to put his or her or their measuring tape all the way up there into where your thigh meets your crotch.
Yeah.
And if you're dressing on that side, something might get smushed
it seems to me to be
touched.
A better term, maybe hanging on that side. I think this is a great idea, and I think, first of all, the idea of having one robotic testicle. And again, let's just be honest, we're 12-year-old boys trapped in middle-aged men's bodies.
I'm fine with a robotic testicle.
If you don't know that yet, then why are you still here? So we are going to talk about a robotic dick for a little bit.
Yeah, we've gotten to it pretty quickly.
One robotic testicle sounds
good. Fine. Hey, is it
I
heavier?
don't know, GPS. There's lots of things you could do with that.
How heavy is GPS?
It's a little computer, basically. What I'm saying, but I'm saying,
could it be magnetized and I could stick my keys to it?
You could do whatever you want to.
So I wouldn't lose
just
my
talk
keys?
to the engineers. But let's just talk about the penis itself, okay?
Why? But the way why are you saying it like that? Just say wiener.
It's how it's pronounced. Penis.
No, I don't.
Have you read it? Have you read it? Have you read the word lately? It's penis. It's not P-E-E-N-I-S.
I just don't know if you're doing it because you think it's funny or because you're. I'm starting to question whether you're just wrong.
Okay. I'm doing it for about 4 different reasons. Can I list them? Number one, I love making
You're
people.
gonna need at least 4 because no one will stand on his
The
own.
main reason is I think it's funny, right?
Okay.
I don't care what you think. The second reason is I know that it makes a certain percentage of the population believe that I actually don't know how to pronounce it, and that brings me joy.
Okay.
Okay. The third reason is I believe that by saying penis, it doesn't get written out in the captions as penis, and that like does something for engagement. And the fourth reason is I don't have one. It's just 3
Yeah,
reasons.
you got to come up with a fourth reason.
So anyway, I think that first of all, some men, you know, as you age, the idea like of having some kind of reinforcement is actually pretty intriguing, right? I mean,
Okay.
there's some guys that will have some kind of pumpable rod inserted. And what I'm saying that like if half of my penis was
metal.
was not metal, it's some sort of robotic silicone reinforced. I don't know. It could end
Yeah.
up being in the long term more reliable, and then my
How long?
exactly. You
Well,
know?
but only half of it. Only
Right.
one side of it.
But my natural half could probably use some encouragement from the the new part. You know, I don't know what can happen.
It seems like
And
something
then-
that could go sideways, literally and figuratively. I just don't.
It probably could go any way you want it to. That's another thing. If half of it is
It makes me
robotic,
uncomfortable.
well, I'm just exploring the first thing that we all thought about. And so anyway, yes, I would definitely do it, and it is definitely the right answer.
But
The
I pictured it
connection is-
being made out of sheet metal.
The connection is worrying. Let's get back to the other head, the brain. And
so half your
the
brain
idea
becomes a
that half
robot.
of your brain would be a computer and it's directly interfacing with the natural half of your brain,
That's cool.
we're talking just an incredible life at this point, right? I mean, because we're assuming that the engineering is working out.
There's
And so
no
it's like,
way
oh,
it's gonna
my
be
right
flawless,
eye,
though.
my right eye has a 300x optical zoom, and my nose, all this stuff is robotic on one side, and it's doing all this crazy analysis, but then it's immediately interfacing through the power of your brain with the rest of your body. That is an amazing life to live.
Half your tongue.
Your boyfriend or husband or
Is
whoever you said it was
tasting.
is 100%. Okay, one of you is 100% right because there is an obvious answer. Now, if your guy said that the answer is obvious and it's the top or the bottom half, then he's just wrong.
You know, but you lose internet connection, and all of a sudden the right half of your body doesn't really work.
No, you can go.
So I gotta
Offline.
drag myself to. Yes, you've got an offline mode, but like it doesn't. do
Robots
anything
don't
for
have
you.
to have Wi-Fi
But
to function. They have to have Wi-Fi to get to the
but
internet.
it would be designed that it will only work in a robust fashion when connected to the internet, like everything else.
Why
It'll
would I
still
design
work.
it in that way?
Because everything is designed that way.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Everything is.
This microphone works great. It's not connected to the internet.
But you and I both know that if half of your body was a microphone, it would be robustly internet integrated.
Offline mode, everything still works. It's just you don't have access to the cloud. But you've got at least a 3 terabyte.
I don't think you'd be able to taste.
Drive.
You gotta be connected. You gotta be connected to the internet in order for that side of your tongue to taste.
Why would that be the case?
It's just how it would be.
Maybe firmware updates, maybe, yeah, but we don't need the internet.
Because you can't. We can't. We're not storing all that information. It's all in the all the tasting information is in the cloud. So you have to interact with that. It's like that's just how it would be.
No, the tasting information files will be downloaded. And if you were like, I would like to enjoy black licorice on the left side of my tongue, on my robotic part, then you could program that. You could download that module. And then once it's there, it's there. So if you were stuck, if you went on vacation, here's what might happen. Let's say you go on vacation and you go to a place that's got bad Wi-Fi.
You're like,
and
shit, I didn't download
you
the
downloaded
stuff.
the licorice thing.
You did. You forgot. You were going to, but then.
Oh, you were going to like a licorice country where that's all they eat. And you were planning on chewing on that one side of your mouth, and then you can't get on the internet. That could be a problem. But I don't think it's a non-starter. I think that's an easily overcomable.
I'm just trying to be realistic about how this would actually roll
Now, you
out.
played a man in a series that we made that had the lower half of his body replaced by a robot, if you don't recall.
That's right.
Played by a doctor who did the surgery. That was me.
Yeah. Why did my character me choose the bottom half?
Because you were replaced by, at the time it seemed like a great idea. You were replaced by a robot
Yeah, my job.
at your job, and
I was jealous.
the girl that you had a crush on, who was your coworker, fell in love with the robot, Ricardo, or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
And I think that you started turning yourself into a robot so she would love you.
Mm-hmm.
And also, your personality was very robotic.
Yeah.
And systematic, and it was like what you thought to be the case. There's probably another plot point that I'm leaving out. But yeah, but
and
you
plus
did that.
there was we didn't want to do the cyborg thing. You know, the DC Comics. Never watched the movies, but Cyborg. He seemed like half his face was robotic. That's the right answer, though. I mean, did she not give her answer?
Well, I think that the point of our answer was to settle the debate or to spark it. I don't know.
Well, that's it right there. We agreed. We agreed the whole time.
Even with your Wi-Fi snafu, you
Right.
still agree?
Yeah, and even with the wiener
Just think about
being
it.
half sheet metal.
One arm being so powerful and a hand
yeah.
that could crush things, and then you got a foot for kicking things.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different things. I don't know what happens on the inside. The intestines get a little squirrely because you've got a bunch of connections that need to take place. But it could be like, I'm gonna store that on the robotic side of my stomach.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Your liver's got to pick which side your liver's gonna be on. The liver's on one side of the body, and I think I want the liver to be robotic because it's like a filter for everything, and I never have to replace it at that point. So
Well,
whatever the
it would
side
be
that-
more easily replaceable.
Yeah, but what's on the other side? But that's also determining what side of the brain gets replaced, and of course, each half of the brain has a different focus.
I do get concerned about the things that are like shared. Like when you really get down to the sphincter, it's like the cooperation between the human natural anatomy and like a mechanism to control only half of the sphincter. I think that's bound to go haywire.
It sounds like it could get infected. There could be problems, but I'm just assuming that in this theoretical example, that connection is perfect. I think you got to start with what side of the brain do you want to be robotic, and I assume that you would want the left side to be robotic. I know the left-right brain thing is not actually
changing
as
my
pronounced
answer.
as they say, but the left side of the brain is
just gonna go
technically
with
a little
below
bit
the
more
belt.
technical, and so you want that left side of the brain to be the more robotic side.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want your quote-unquote creative side of your brain to suddenly be robotic, right? Because then you just got AI algorithms feeding all your creativity.
I'm going below the belt, robot, but it's a horse. So, you know.
It's like Westworld?
Yeah, like I'm a minotaur, a robotic minotaur.
I don't think that was an option. You can't change species.
Okay.
And I think Christy would have something to say about that.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, like, where's my saddle? That's what she would say.
Oh, God. All right. Another voicemail.
Hi, this is Russell Hibbs, and I just had a question about what do you do if you have spent the past 3 to 5 years in the same field, and all of a sudden you wake up every morning hating that position? You used to love what you were doing. Now it fills you with dread. What's the best way of just completely doing a 360 on your career life? Thanks.
If you are feeling that way, and this is not just hypothetical, okay, well, it's good to be in touch with your feelings. I think if you're making this type of analysis and coming to these realizations, that's good, you know, and not just saying, well, this is my life, I've got to live it. Like, you know, there's a saying about a life worth self-analyzing is worth having. There's a saying somewhere associated with that. Right. And I just want to set the groundwork that like a life of looking at yourself is
There you go.
worth
That's the way to put it.
is a good practice.
Can we put that on a t-shirt? A life of self-looking at yourself.
is a good practice.
It's a good practice.
So we agree with that, right? It's
Yeah.
like, it's like don't assume that you're trapped, or don't look at yourself. Don't not look at yourself,
Okay, because
because then you might not see what
you're not backtracking.
could happen.
Are you using the human side or the robotic side of your brain right now? Or are you using the horse part?
And you sound young. You got a lot of life ahead of you. And too much life ahead of you to be miserable if you're 3 to 5 years into something. So I like your line of thinking.
I have what I'll loosely call a disclaimer. And I've actually thought a little bit more about this general idea of people like us giving
Yeah.
career advice.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like we should do it.
And listen, that doesn't stop a lot of people on the internet from doing it. But, and I may have read something. Honestly, it's one of those things where I don't know. I had a conversation with somebody about this, and I don't know how much of it came from this conversation so this may have been said. I'm sure it has been said. Taking career advice from someone who's a successful YouTuber is like taking financial advice from someone who won the lottery.
Yes.
They can be like, well, you just got to go to the shortstop every day and buy the scratchers. It's just like, listen, we got lucky. Like, we didn't get here because we operated under some incredible plan. It's like, there's all kinds of circumstance and serendipity and luck involved in us sitting right here and being able to work together and do what we do.
But it's a both and.
No, I'm not saying that we don't work our asses off. I'm not saying that we don't.
And we looked hard for opportunities
all that's true.
Capitalize on if we could.
But the thing that bothers me when people start talking about how hard they worked is the implication is that most people don't. I know a lot of people, and everybody that I know works pretty damn hard. Like, everyone's trying really hard.
Yeah.
They're like trying really hard to make shit happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's some people who don't care as much or whatever, but like, I just don't think that is the thing. I don't think it's like, you gotta just try real hard. So
I totally agree with that.
So I'll just say that that's the disclaimer, is that we live in this space where we wake up every day and we get paid to talk about having half a robotic penis, where Link gets to talk about his horse bottom and his wife riding him. And we get paid for that. When he says, she would say, give me a saddle. Ching, 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 ching.
And you know what?
Quarters going into our bank account.
You can do it too.
And
all you got to do is work hard, and you can be just like us. Anybody can make a YouTube video. Just do it. It'll happen for you. We guarantee it.
And here's another thing I'll add to this.
And we're so out of touch.
That's
another way to say it, right? We're so out of touch. It's like, do you honestly think that you can just realize that you're not happy with your job and then all of a sudden you can be a star?
Another piece of this that has recently changed my mind about some of these things and questions like this. Again, I don't know if we're getting to your answer, but maybe some of this.
We're setting the groundwork for the answer.
And I'm definitely using the robotic half of my brain for this. I like to watch the Rich Roll podcast. He talks to interesting people. He's a former like ultra marathon runner or whatever, but he doesn't really talk about that. He just talks to interesting people. And so he had a guy, I guess he's a Harvard researcher or whatever, Scott Galloway, I think is his name. And again, I don't know everything that this guy says. I'm not endorsing everything that he says, but I did see a clip where he was talking about this career question where a lot of people like us talk about passion, find your passion, pursue your passion, because it just kind of sounds like the right thing to do. It sounds like the right thing to say, and we say it from this position of privilege where the thing that we are passionate about is the thing that we get to do. The point he was making was like, that's not great advice. you should focus on what you're good at. And what you will find most of the time that if you really lean into the thing that you're good at, something that comes naturally to you, you will become passionate about it. Because a lot of times
you'll enjoy it.
Being good at something, the point he was making is that being good at something affords really incredible opportunities a lot of times. There's no guarantee, but getting really good at something and also kind of thinking about maybe like a place where there's an opportunity where it's not so crowded. Like, I think I'm good at this type of thing, and this is a super practical answer, but like, I'm good at this type of thing and thinking in this way, and there's an opportunity in that field. There are a lot of jobs in that field. You get into a place where becoming an expert on something, becoming someone who understands something and studies something deeply and does something really well, for most people, that will usually lead to a great outcome in which you actually can take pride and find passion in the thing that you're doing. And of course, because the thing he was talking about is like, your passion, like have a hobby, have something that you're passionate about, but you don't have to live in this world where you think that the hobby has to be the full-time job. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying, whatever your name is who called. What did you say what his name was?
It was like Christian or Dennis. I don't remember.
Christian or Dennis?
Yeah, one of those two is what's coming to my mind right now.
You're still important. Just because we don't know if you're Christian or Dennis doesn't mean that you're not valued and important, and that this question is very important. I'm just saying that that's another piece of the perspective that I've been thinking about lately, because I have told people many times on this show and throughout my life to find, and I've told my kids this, find what you're passionate about and then build your career around that. And I'm not saying that's completely horrible advice. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be that the thing that you do for a living is necessarily started out as your passion. Now, that doesn't mean you got to do something that you hate. That's not what I'm getting at all. I'm just saying that sometimes the passion and the engagement can come from like, holy shit, I'm actually really good at this thing that I didn't even know about last year.
So Rhett's saying maybe just get a hobby so you can like look forward to being done with the job that you hate. That's not
what I'm saying.
That's not a bad idea. If you're in a situation where you're 3 to 5 years into a job and you're like, oh, I used to like this, but now I hate it. There's a responsible and strategic way to start to push on other opportunities, or to create opportunities, or to find opportunities without, just like cold turkey quitting what you're doing, and then you're in some sort of like financial lurch. There's a responsible way to go about it, but just looking for doors to push on. I think having conversations with people that, you never know what somebody might say that might spark. I mean, you're asking us, so you should ask other people too. You never know what's going to spark an idea, or a connection is going to lead to a different type of job.
Yeah.
And if you seek out people that are doing things that people you admire or respect, that are doing things that are engaging for them, whether it's a path you want to go down or not, it's like connecting, like picking those people's brains, I think is a good idea. Maybe that's what's happening here. And then we're saying, don't listen to us because we're just lucky. I think you just gotta, if you're not happy, you gotta find, you think of it as more of a long play, but you gotta start to to percolate some sort of a plan.
Yeah, because so all the stuff I was saying, again, wasn't answering the question. You're answering the question.
I'm trying to.
What I wasn't saying is that, well, you should, if you're good at it, you should just keep doing it. I'm not, fun be damned. I'm not saying that. If it's just like, I hate doing this, well then, okay, yeah, like Link said, start trying to figure out something else. But I would say two things. A, agree with you about don't just quit and without a plan,
Gotta be
transition into something responsibly. But the second thing is, what would it look like knowing that you don't know what that time frame is going to be? You don't know how long it's going to be before you transition from where you're at now to where you're going to be. What would it look like as a practice to try to find a way to be engaged with what it is that you're doing, even though it sucks? Again, because you know that it's like if somebody wakes up and finds out that or if you break your leg, you break your actual natural leg, not your robotic leg.
Harder to fix that one.
And you're like, okay. In fact, we were with a friend last night who wanted the wine, who
couldn't get up and get it because
had broken her foot and leg. And she's in this thing on these crutches for weeks, right? And so that sucks. And she knows that she's gonna get out of those crutches, out of that cast soon. But in the meantime, finding a way to have perspective on it and finding a way to not enjoy it, but like find a new way to investigate it and experience it where you can still maintain your joy despite the fact that you got a broken leg. It's not a great analogy necessarily, but I would just say that I think that could be beneficial too. Find a way to be engaged, because you might be like, oh, I can find, instead of just thinking about the fact that I hate this, I can try to force myself to find a way to engage in it, but also actively try to find a way to something else.
Yeah.
But again, don't listen to us because
Don't listen to us.
you have no reason to trust us.
Yeah, it's pretty flukish
Yeah.
what happened to us, I don't tell my kids that enough.
I mean, just last night,
I'm a fluke.
I stained my shirt with wine and then stained it more so that I could wear it and talk about it.
There you go. What a fluke.
I mean, who am I to say anything?
Yeah, so you're out of touch.
I mean, his wife told me to dip my cuffs in red wine, and I did it, and here I am.
That really set it off. Like, oh, he must have done that on purpose. I like it.
Maybe people will think I was working with grapes or something.
You must be working with grapes.
Do you work with grapes?
I have a slight thing to add to his.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jenna.
Yeah,
Rescue us.
Give us some good advice.
If they've been there for 3 to 5 years, a lot of times in those situations, it's what you loved about the job is now something that annoys you because you haven't been challenged. So I don't know if maybe the thing to do is to look within the job and the field that he has to see if there's a way he can stretch his brain more, to see if that can help with his distaste of having to go to work, because he's still gonna have to go and work, and that's an easier way of trying to find something within what you're doing. And of course, yes, but obviously start finding something in a different field that you feel like you can do, 40 hours a week, that you're happy or content with anyway, because you're never going to love everything you do all the time. No offense, Rhett Link. I don't love everything I do all the time.
Yeah.
It's because one of us more than the other, or?
It's the whole robotic arm thing. I don't know.
Yeah, we really cross a line.
Really cross. Then you've got
work is work.
Work is work.
Well,
work is work.
Okay, well, that's good advice.
Work is work. You're not gonna always love it.
Stretch your brain.
Yeah, stretch your brain. It's a lot of times you're just a little bored with it, and it's also the idea of it's a choice you make. Like, you're going to fall out of love with things, like the emotion it's a natural process. Like the emotions you had around this career that you absolutely loved are going to go away and change.
You're resigning. Is that what you're saying?
No, I say you're going to change and your emotions are going to change.
Do you have anything else lined up? I mean, what are you going to, now what for you? What's next for Jenna?
For me?
We wish you well, Jenna.
I'm going to move to Ireland and open up a bookstore / pub. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, sorry guys. See you later.
I'm going to come visit.
Is that the dream?
That is a dream.
That is a dream.
Yes.
All right. Which half of you is robot?
See, I think for me, I would want my non-dominant arm to be robotic.
Oh, yes.
And
Smart.
So you are going halfsies on the whole body.
halfsies, but like, yeah, you have to go around certain. Like, I don't want
Can't do
I don't
it.
want my mouth to be robotic.
Nope.
Well, you can speak any language out of one side of your mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
But
Mouth,
one ear so that I
wiener,
can
sphincter.
hear.
You want those to be natural.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I might want them all
yeah.
to be robotic.
The liver, though, I like the liver idea. I could really use a robotic liver today.
Robotic liver.
All right, I got a
That's
wreck
funny.
to wrap us up. Jenna, thanks for landing that plane. Appreciated that. We listened to this guy last night. I was discovering him last week, and everyone who already knows about this artist is like, you don't know about this guy? I don't know about this guy. Labi Siffre. L-A-B-I. Labi. That's his first name. Last name Siffre. S-I-F-F-R-E. London-born singer Labi Siffre has spent his career breaking down boundaries. The openly gay singer built a small cult following with works that dealt squarely with homophobia and racism. In addition to his many albums, the multi-talented Siffre has written several books of poetry and also written for the stage. Musically, he's known for his soulful, high-pitched voice and thought-provoking lyrics. His single, I Got The, from the 1975 album Remember the Song, received a modicum of fame decades after its release, when its funky piano hook was sampled in Eminem's 1999 debut smash single, My Name Is. So he's a 70s and into the 80s artist, still with us. In 1988, Siffre had a hit with his anti-apartheid anthem, Something Inside So Strong. All right, so check him out. I gotta put you on to my song, which you've heard you've heard that sample.
Oh, yeah. And you'll
And
be
then-
like, oh, what? It was from another song.
Bless the telephone. Lots of these. Great artist that I've just discovered. Have at it. I'm gonna lob you some lobby.
Thank you for joining us. Keep those voicemails coming. You know the number. We're not going to say it again. And we're working actively on an international solution that may be WhatsApp.
Yes.
Christian or Dennis, thanks for your question.
Talk to you next week.
Hi, Rhett and Link. I was just listening to the episode about talking to strangers, and it got me thinking because I was just on a really long cross-country road trip with my dad, and he decided that our goal every stop should be to talk to a stranger. So every gas station, every hotel, every rest stop, we needed to have an interaction with someone beyond just, can I get the code to the restroom or whatever? And I did not participate, but maybe if I'd heard this podcast beforehand, I would have. So next time, I'll actually engage with that. Thanks. Bye.